What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beyond the Bench podcast. This will be our week 4 review. Obviously, we always have Nick, and we have
Up,
my
guys.
brother Colin here. He is also
Hello.
in our league. We had Nicola last week. We're starting to do guests. It worked last week. It was great. So we
The
brought
fun
in
time.
Colin this week. Same setup as always. Waiver wire, buy low, sell high. So, Nick, you want to start with your waiver wire pickups? Because there's some
Yeah.
good ones this week.
Yeah, okay. So the guys that I'm going for. So this week was actually kind of interesting in waiver wire. I feel like a lot of guys who people kind of forgot started coming out of their shell this week, which is good. So I'm going to mention three guys. First, I'm going to go Dontavion Wicks. Now we heard that. Who had the ankle sprain? Sorry,
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson, yeah.
Thank you. So Christian Watson's probably going to be out for, I'd say, at least 4 weeks. It is a high ankle sprain, right?
Everybody has a high ankle sprain. I think it is.
Okay. Well, because the average recovery time on that is 3 to 4 weeks. So he's going to be at least out for 3 weeks. But in his first game, without any really competition other than Jaden Reed, he had 13 targets, 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions for 78 yards. That's ridiculous. That is a huge target share. That I don't think he's going to get 13 targets every game, but he will continue to produce while he's the wide receiver 2 on that team.
Also, I feel like this week is a big week for Packers players because Jordan Love's back.
Yep, definitely.
And Dontavion Wicks is only rostered in 25% of leagues, so he's out there.
And
And
he's
I'm
he's
guessing,
in both of mine, and this is a pretty
yeah.
competitive one. So,
And I'm guessing, Colin, you have him on your list too. I feel like he's on everybody's list.
Yeah, I mean Jordan Love had like 50-something passing attempts this week, so it's kind
Did
of.
he really? I didn't even see that.
I did not see
Still,
that.
I think he'll be good.
I think another guy on my list is Tucker Kraft.
Yeah.
Because once again, Jordan Love's back. He had a lot of.
Yeah, to fact check Colin,
targets.
sorry, he had 54 passing attempts this week.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Tucker Kraft, he's only taken in 15% of leagues. So he's also out there, and I think he's gonna be a really good pickup, especially because tight ends this year have not been doing too well.
So the thing is with Tucker Kraft, though, I think he's going to be good, but it is a little bit of a weird situation because they also have Luke Musgrave, who Jordan Love really liked last year. So I think it can go either way. But
I agree. I think so that's back to what Colin was saying. There were a lot of targets. Musgrave had 3 last week. I feel like that's not a lot for 54 attempts. And in the other game against the Eagles that Jordan Love played, he had 2 targets, while Tucker Kraft had 3. So I feel like that game is kind of back and forth. But he seems to really like Tucker Kraft this week.
Yeah.
Who else you got on your list?
I got 2 more that I want to mention. Josh Downs, which he was the breakout star from last year that everybody liked, and I think it's going to continue. In his first game or second game back, he had 9 targets, same as Michael Pittman, 8 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. I think every single Colts wide receiver except Alec Pierce gets a major boost if Anthony Richardson stays out. I think that if Joe Flacco stays in, he's going to pass the ball around. He's a veteran quarterback.
Yep.
He knows to get the ball to his receivers. Every single Colts wide receiver except Alec Pierce is going to get a boost. The last guy that I just want to mention is Chase Brown. I had Chase Brown on my preseason breakout stars, and he wasn't really doing much, but
and you drafted him too. I think that should be known.
Yep, that's right. It was like the last pick, but yeah. So his target share was steadily going up. It went from 3, 4 to 7, which is a little bit of a jump, and then 15 last week. So
And
I
he had 2
think
touchdowns.
and 2
That's
touchdowns.
crazy.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns and 2 receptions for 12 yards. So I think if they continue, even without the touchdowns, he still set a career high in yardage, carries, and
I noticed that the Bengals were giving him a lot of, if not all of the red zone
yeah,
opportunities, goal
definitely.
line
Yeah.
opportunities. And I
So
feel like that's kind of going to be a theme going forward with them.
I think that's a really, really that's a very important thing to have, especially uh, if you need like a flex person, because
Yep.
that is somebody who like you're gonna you can put him in a flex, and if he's gonna get red zone targets, then that's really all the points you need for that week. So
I also feel like with Chase Brown, the Bengals were 0-3, so they were playing from behind most of the time. But if they
Hmm.
start winning, they'll get more run opportunities,
yeah,
which could lead to Chase Brown.
definitely.
That is true. Um, Colin, do you have any other people on your list or people that you want to add, like that Nick said you want to add on to, other than Chase Brown?
I mean, kind of with Josh Downs, also from the Colts, Trey Sermon, because Jonathan Taylor went out of the game early,
Hmm.
and they said he's probably not going on the IR, but he could miss a week. So if he does, Trey Sermon's probably the Colts starting running back.
Yep. I also have Trey Sermon on my list.
So even if he's just like a 1 week, 2 week thing, he
Hmm.
could still get carries.
Anyone else? Or those?
I mean,
That's
any of the
really. I
Chiefs
mean,
wide
I just
receivers
want to
after
make a.
the Rashi Rice injury as well.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
true.
yeah. No,
Chiefs
that's
wide
Juju,
true.
Justin
receivers.
Watson, any of them.
Kareem Hunt too.
Yeah.
Kareem
He
Hunt was a
he
good pickup for
he
Blind.
took over that backfield.
He 100% did.
He's
They
only
did not
rostered.
play Carson Steele once he
Nope.
fumbled.
He's only rostered in 20% of leagues. I have him in one league. If he's still there, go grab him because
Yeah,
he's leading that backfield. I can see that for the rest of the
definitely.
season,
No,
even.
definitely.
And also with Kareem Hunt, he had a lot of the yards, but also they're on the 1 yard line, and they gave it to Pirine for the touchdown. So if
That's
that was
true.
to Kareem Hunt,
Piron's another.
he would have had more yards or more points.
Hmm. They gave
I
that to him. He would have had that touchdown.
I
Yeah.
think this year, I don't know what it is. I think there's a steep drop off in like performance this year.
Yeah.
So, like you can see on everybody's team, I'm a guy who's always in 2 flex leagues. In those type of leagues, especially, that second flex, like you'll have a good like your first or second round pick is your wide receiver 1, like a third or fourth round pick is your wide receiver 2. Then
Hmm.
your flexes, those are guys that like you need to do research on because there's I feel like last year your 2 flexes were kind of like decent players. This year, like my my second flex is Brian Thomas Jr. That's not a bad player, but that is
No, that's
not
a good
somebody.
flex. I like that flex, honestly.
So do I, but that's not somebody that like people are really like looking in the draft to be like this guy's going to be like insane. Like he's going to be good, but he's like yeah. So I feel like the talent you got to look for guys that are really, really, really creeping up in their team because there's so many injuries this year that teams are compensating by it by giving the ball to other players.
And I think that kind of my last guy on my list is one of these types of guys that you could throw in your flex spot that like at the beginning of the year you would have never thought that he would be there.
Mm-hmm.
Wandale Robinson.
Yeah,
He
no,
has looked
definitely.
amazing this year.
Nicola mentioned that last week.
And he's only rostered in 12% of leagues. Of course he's rostered in both of our leagues because Nicola.
Yep.
But he's looked amazing. He gets the targets. It's insane to me how many targets he gets.
Yeah. I think he had what, like 11, 12 last week.
I think he might have even had more.
It's it's because Daniel Jones is playing a very conservative type of football right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's really not throwing it very far, but he's throwing it to his receivers on slant routes, and he's
Yeah.
not really throwing the deep ball. So because he
He
wants to
had
avoid interceptions,
I mean, you saw the 2 deep balls he threw last game.
they were not good.
So Robinson had 11 receptions. He had 14 targets. So that's definitely a guy to look for your waiver pickups, flex spot, even if you need it. Because I know I need a flex spot. I have Khalil Shakir starting right now, and he did not look great last week.
No, he did not. But that's what
So
I'm saying. Like your second flex spot is like there's a
yeah,
drop off.
yeah. So you want to go to the buy lows because I feel like there's some good ones this week.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of players that people are like over appreciating that I think that they had one bad week and people are like, get rid of them. Like, get rid of them.
Hmm.
So my buy lows probably Brock Bowers, I mean. Because tight ends this year have been atrocious.
Hmm.
Brock Bowers has been one of the few, aside from basically just George Kittle, that have been consistently getting the ball. And he didn't have a great week. He only had like 8 points, which is in terms of tight ends this year not that
Not
bad,
bad.
right? But Brock Bauer owners are going to be like, what the hell? Like, why is this happening? And especially if Devontae Adams gets traded, he's going to be like their wide receiver too, behind
Yeah,
Tucker. So I say,
Jacoby Myers.
yeah, I say go for him with everything you got.
Absolutely. I also have a tight end on my list. It's not really a buy low, but it's if you can get him, get him. It's Travis Kelce, and now Colin, you have Travis Kelce, and I know you're not going to trade him,
I don't want to,
but
especially with Rashee Rice injury.
with Rashi Rice out,
Yeah.
he looked really good this last game. He
Mhm.
had, I think, 17 points or something, Colin?
I think it was 15,
15?
but no touchdown.
No, which that says something. I feel like usually, especially with tight ends this year,
Yeah.
if you want more than 10 points, your tight end is going to need a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I
don't know
think,
what it is. I feel like they're just phasing out tight ends. Like, I don't know why.
yeah, it's really, I don't, but Kelsey looked good this week. I think you'll be able to get him off of people that are like, oh, it was just one good week. Um,
Not
but
smart
once
people
again,
like the people that watch this podcast.
yeah, absolutely. But once again, it's Chiefs players. If you're able to get Xavier Worthy too, get him. I think Kelsey and Worthy are going to lead that team going forward. And there's people saying that Mahomes needs a wide receiver, Tyreek Hill needs a quarterback. So I don't think it's going to happen. But if Tyreek Hill ends up getting traded to the Chiefs, I'd buy him low now too, because he has not looked good.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Because I feel like, especially with this year, and again, I feel like this year has just been like an anomaly with fantasy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
there's so
been
many
crazy.
weird things happening this year that nobody could have predicted. I feel like there's a lot more panic this year.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel like you can use that to your advantage, kind of. Like, if somebody has a bad week, buy
I'm
them.
0 and 4
Yeah,
in two of my three leagues.
that's not
That's
good.
never happened to me before.
That's that. Yeah, see, that's bad. But I will be honest with you, Christian. I still do think you're making playoffs.
I hope so.
I still do think you're making playoffs because I think that with your team specifically, I think it gets better as the year progresses, and I think like other people's team in the league, their team gets worse.
I
So
hope so.
Also, 5 teams are 3-1, so eventually they'll play each
yeah,
other, and one
exactly.
of them's
That
gonna
is also very true.
Exactly. Like am I? I think I'm. Yeah,
You're
I'm
3 and 1 in the money league. You
have.
both are. You both
And
beat me.
somehow I'm only projected like ninth, so it's weird.
Um, Colin, do you have any buy lows that you want to talk about?
I would say Devon Achane because like the Dolphins have looked bad, but if there's gonna be a bright spot in that offense without a
It's
quarterback, it'll be him
absolutely.
because he can run. He hasn't gotten a touchdown again since the Dolphins have been behind. They haven't ran it
Hmm.
much, but if they can get ahead, he'll be the
I
reason
think they
for it,
will start getting ahead soon.
and I think he'll be the reason for
It's
it. So
yeah. I also have a running back on here, but it's kind of I have two, but for one I want to talk about first is Jonathan Brooks. He hasn't played this year. He's coming back soon, and I think he's going to take that spot from Chuba Hubbard immediately when he comes back.
I My thing with Jonathan Brooks is, truth be told, I do not really watch college football, so I didn't know how he did in college. I know that he had like he was the third running back behind two really good running backs at Texas, and I know that he in his last season did well. I don't really understand why everybody's having this hype around him, especially after an ACL tear. That's the hardest injury for a running back to recover from and perform after. So, I mean, I could be completely wrong, and he can be like the next Kyron Williams, but I don't see why.
Yeah, before getting injured. And he got injured in November.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously college football, the regular season goes till about December. He played 11 games, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. So that's honestly really good. And even the years before that, he averaged 6.8 yards per carry, 6.6 yards per carry. So even when he did play, the little that he did, because he was behind Bijan Robinson, obviously he wasn't going to play.
No, yeah.
But I also think that's good because he played behind Bijan Robinson, who was one of the best running backs in the draft a couple years ago. I think Jonathan Brooks is going to have a breakout year once he's back, and I think he's going to take Chuba Hubbard's place. Maybe not immediately, but pretty soon after he comes back.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe wait a little to buy low on him. Wait till he plays and doesn't do as well. And then I think he's not going to take over immediately.
I would say
no, I don't think he's going to take over immediately, but I think, assuming he does well, I think he's going to be a good, like if your team is in the playoffs, I think he's a good playoff run guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know most people don't, knowing how fantasy's been this year, but if you have that open IR spot, that's when you get him now. Because he doesn't take a bench spot.
But yeah, my team is just last week I had 6 people out. So
yeah, so if you're not like that,
yeah, if you're not me,
get him. I have Jaden Reed too. He's not really a buy low. Once again, all the Packers receivers.
Yeah, but I don't think you can really label him as a buy low when he had
It's not buy low. It's just kind of the same thing I said with Kelsey. Get him if you can.
Yeah.
Because he's only going to get better.
Yeah, no, but a lot of I tried to trade for him last week, and Nicola, or I think Nicola has him in the.
No, it's Nicola.
I tried to trade for him too
in the money in the money league.
Yeah,
I think he has him in the money league or both. I don't know.
I don't know. I tried to trade for him in one of the leagues, and Nicola, very smart man. He texted me back and he goes, maybe, but I'm gonna wait to see how he performs with Jordan Love, and I was like.
And he performed with Jordan Love.
Performed. So I don't think nobody's getting him off of Nicola.
No. I have one other guy I think is important to talk about because I was talking to Nick about this earlier this week, I think on Sunday. J.K. Dobbins. He was on my sell high last week.
Really?
But I would say get him because he's not getting a lot of points, but he's getting almost 70% of the carries. So it's only a matter of time until he consistently starts getting those points.
Not really.
He had, I believe Dobbins had 75% 2 weeks ago and 70% this week, as opposed to 60 and 50 the weeks before that. Mm-hmm. So I think get him now because people are going to start realizing.
No, definitely.
Do either of you have any more sell lows or buy lows?
I do not.
Colin?
I mean, you can say Brandon Ayuk. He hasn't been good, but
yep.
Everyone else
I don't even know if he's going to be good.
I don't know
I don't know if I wouldn't say trade for him because people exactly. I'm big into research. I do at least I do a lot of research. But everybody I see a lot of people being yeah, he's gonna do better. Okay,
I'm not sure he will.
But
I don't think he will.
There's no sign in that offense that he will. No. He doesn't have the target share. He doesn't have the receptions. He has the routes. But what does routes matter if Brock Purdy's looking for him?
Exactly. Debo's been doing good. Kittle's been doing good. Jordan Mason's looked great.
Debo didn't.
Ricky Pearsall's coming back.
Debo didn't do much this past week.
They definitely were on the side of caution, though.
Yeah, absolutely. He had 10 points.
Ayuk had less than that, though. I think
Ayuk definitely had less than that.
I think he had 6, something like that.
Yeah, that's not good. And like Colin said, I think it was Colin just said, Ricky Pearsall's coming back. That's just another person to add into the mix.
And come fantasy playoff times, assuming he's healthy, McCaffrey will be there.
I don't even know because now it's in both legs.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They said in a month, but I don't.
Mr. Physical Therapist, what does 2 double Achilles tendonitis mean?
Not good.
That's bad, right?
Usually, let me just fact check myself. I don't want to be giving wrong information. Usually, the recovery time for like a single Achilles tendonitis is 6 to 8 weeks. So, but I don't know when he started feeling it and when he didn't. Usually, what happens with tendonitis is it gets worse. Like
right, it spreads, right? Like it just goes.
For everybody listening, I had a knee surgery, right? And they said if I didn't get the knee surgery, I would have gotten tendonitis in my knee.
Okay.
So it gets worse over time, and if he was playing with it while he knew he had tendonitis, it may be worse than 8 weeks. Now, we've seen the NFL have like magical healing properties that they're giving their athletes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But if it's both of his legs, that's not.
But it's also important to say who knows when this started? Because
exactly.
the 49ers did not say anything when they absolutely should have.
Yeah. No, I genuinely think that they should be fine because like not speaking in fantasy terms, they did that to have a strategical advantage over
Week one.
Week one.
Because they had the Monday night, so they had time.
Yeah. Yep. And I think McCaffrey's been feeling this all summer. I genuinely think it started at training camp.
Since last year.
I can see that.
Last year.
Yeah.
Because he started getting hurt at the end of last year, and I think that could have been it.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll start our sell high section because we're talking about the 49ers. I have a 49er on here, Jawan Jennings.
Oh, 100%.
Because, like once again, like Colin said, Ricky Pearsall's going to be back soon. Everybody's looking good on that team except Ayuk. He's not going to get the target share. That offense is too big for one person to have a big target share, except their running back, which is why I like Jordan Mason this year. I have Jordan Mason, but I think he's going to stay the way he is. I think running back.
You've been very good on the running back pickups.
I have to. My team sucks. Even last year, Kyron Williams was my week 2 pickup. Yeah, I just think that 49ers offense is too big, especially the receivers.
No, yeah, I agree. The two guys that I have are Zach Moss and more so, I'd say you can hold Zach Moss, but more so Zach Charbonnet. Now, I texted Christian last night because I was watching.
Oh yeah, you were freaking out. That was funny.
I was kind of freaking out because I was watching I turned on this Seattle Lions game yesterday, and I'm seeing like Kenneth Walker come off the field for Zach Charbonnet in like the first quarter. And I'm like, wait, is it a split backfield now since Zach Charbonnet did so well? It was not. It was not a split backfield.
I just want to say Charbonnet had 2 carries.
Yeah, no. When I texted you, he had 0 carries, but he had like 3 receptions.
Well, that's the thing. Charbonnet is going to be the receiving back. He had 5 targets for 5 receptions this past week. Yeah. 3 receptions on 4 targets the week before, 5 for 5 the week before that. So he's clearly the receiving back in that offense.
Well, I wouldn't. Kenneth Walker yesterday had 4 receptions for 36 yards. So, So Kenneth Walker, I would say that he's also one of those receiving backs because how many receptions did you say that Zach Charbonnet
had?
Yeah,
5.
Okay, so Kenneth Walker had 4. So it's not like.
So it just kind of looks like the Seahawks are an offense that likes to pass to their running backs.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's almost a 10 reception target share between 2 running backs, two backs, which is not something you see.
But I think you can definitely sell Charbonnet on the high. I feel like Kenneth Walker's the better back.
Do you know? Can you see how many points he ended with yesterday?
Yeah, 10.4.
Oh, so that's not even bad. Okay, that's the thing. So that's I was gonna add that. If Zach Charbonnet had a good enough game, you can say that I mean, obviously it depends on the person how knowledgeable, how not knowledgeable they are. But you can definitely say, hey, even with Kenneth Walker back, even though he scored 34 points, he still got 10 points. That's still a flex ball.
And week 1, when Kenneth Walker played, Charbonnet had 12.1.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that. So, I think Charbonnet is definitely I think you can get decent like RB2 value for him right now.
I think so.
I think you can get a solid RB2 value out of him. Now, going forward, I think Kenneth Walker was the workhorse. He had 12 carries, 80 yards, average almost 7 yards per carry 3 touchdowns. I mean,
won me my bet
they were
too.
giving him the ball a lot. So, yeah.
Colin, do you have any sell highs? Because there's not really a lot this week. I'm going to be
There's
honest.
one I have my team. I'm not sure I'm going to trade him or not. Jordan Addison. Because
I thought about putting him, but I
just
didn't.
came back. He had 22 points, but he had 2 touchdowns. He's not doing that every week.
No.
He only had 4 targets for 3 receptions.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's not a type of receiver that I want, like that you would want on your team.
Exactly.
Because that is just like, and there's like a decent amount of wide receivers like that. So like that are getting a lot of touchdowns, and their points look really good. But if you actually look into like their targets and then their
targets is very important to look at.
Very important, because that targets show the relationship between the wide receiver and the quarterback. If there's no relationship, then don't have him on your team.
Absolutely. And Colin, going back to your team, another guy I have on my sell high is Chuba Hubbard.
I'm trying.
You're trying to get rid of him?
I'm trying. No one's looking at their trades.
Yeah, you got to text them.
You got to text them.
Or text one of us to text them.
Yeah. Who can I hear some of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, what are you trying to do for Chuba?
One of them was Chuba Hubbard for George Pickens, 1-for-1.
That's a good trade, actually.
That actually is a good trade. I will say, though.
But now George Pickens just had a good week. So
right.
Yeah.
I will say, Brendan
doesn't want to trade.
Brendan doesn't want to trade, and he is on top of his stuff. So.
And the other one was some sort of combo where I traded Chuba Hubbard and someone else, and I got Jaden Reed and someone else, but I don't think that's happening anymore.
Those are probably the 2 worst people to trade with.
Yeah.
No, I made a trade with Nicole last year.
But yeah, Chuba Hubbard is a good guy to trade. Because Jonathan Brooks is coming back, he's slowly going to lose that.
And based on my team, I have to bench. I benched Chuba Hubbard last week because I know where to start.
You didn't need him. You have David Montgomery. You have
James Conner, James Cook, and Derrick Henry.
You have insane running backs.
This is kind of off topic. This is more of a buy high type of player, but I think it's worth it. Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get him though.
I know that, but that's why I said buy high. I feel like by the way, Andy Dalton,
amazing,
has been incredible. Like, he has been slinging the ball. I mean, but I mean Deontay Johnson, the 2 games that Bryce Young has not been quarterback, he's gotten like 21 points both games. So,
now, I actually think that Deontay Johnson will be added to the sell high section when Deontay Johnson inevitably comes back, or Bryce Young inevitably comes back, because they said they want him to come back.
Okay.
So when that happens, get Deontay Johnson out of there.
Right, but once people hear that news, they're not going to want to trade for him.
You got to be on top of it.
I think
I tried to be on top of Xavier Worthy.
I think the time to see when Bryce Young will come back.
Why do you want to trade Xavier Worthy?
No, I want to trade for him.
Oh, yeah.
No, the time for when Bryce Young will come back is when the Panthers, like if they start winning and they're looking like they could win the division, Dalton's staying in.
Oh, absolutely.
If it's looking like they're not going to make the playoffs, then I think they're going to try and Bryce Young again.
Yeah.
Definitely. You got to watch that. But
yeah.
Christian, sorry for interrupting, but
there
were a lot of players that I wanted to trade for that I knew were going to start doing well, and I couldn't get the trade off. Terry McLaurin is one of them.
Oh, yeah. And this is a guy, this is my last sell high, because like I said, there weren't really much this week.
No, there weren't.
But I traded him earlier this year for Zach Moss, 1-for-1. I thought it was a good trade at the time, and then I didn't think it was, but now I'm starting to think it is again. Dallas Goedert. Because the 2 games where he's had these crazy games, A.J. Brown has been out. And the last game, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were out. So once they're back, and Jalen Hurts has looked awful.
He has. I know.
So once they're back.
If you actually compare Jalen Hurts' stats, Daniel Jones
is better.
Okay, off topic, but Daniel Jones has the best QBR in the NFC East right now.
Over Jaden Daniels?
Or no, sorry, before Jaden Daniels played this week.
I was going to say, Jaden Daniels
obviously is better.
That's also because he's just been playing so conservative.
Exactly.
Like Malik Neighbors had 15 targets because it was mostly like slant routes.
And Wandale just catches the ball like behind the line of scrimmage and does it
then
himself.
runs. Yeah,
he just runs. But yeah, so back to what I was with Dallas Goedert thing. Once the receivers are back, Jalen Hurts spreading the ball around the field is not going to go over well with how he's looked this year. So get rid of Goddard this week before those receivers come back, because then you're not. Well, actually, I think they're on a bye this week. I think they might.
I can check.
Or maybe next week or something. But get rid of him when those receivers come back. Yeah, they are on a bye this week.
They are on a bye week. Yeah, okay.
So honestly, that's the perfect time to trade him because he's not going to have a bad week this week because he doesn't play. So
right, but do you think people are going to want to trade for somebody that's not going to play? Like, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to give away somebody. What?
He's the tight end 1 in fantasy right now.
I understand that, but
So what I'm saying is
that trade. Not that trade specifically. I say I would make a trade for somebody in bye week just because I see
right. So
impact,
so fine. Wait till next week when they're off the bye.
True. Yeah.
Because now you have 2 weeks to trade them. And also, I'm trying to remember who they play in this upcoming Cleveland. He could still have a good game against Cleveland. Or he could be projected a high amount of points, and that's when you get rid of him.
Yeah.
But
projections is such a huge thing because
Rashid Shaheed's projected 13 right now.
Exactly. Like, people want to see a high. Yep. I mean, me included.
No, absolutely.
like everybody wants to see a high projected. Use that to your advantage. I mean, on my team, Kyron Williams, I'm not going to trade him, but he's projected 20 points. That's more than my quarterback.
Yeah, that's insane.
So
Malik Neighbors is projected 22.
That's
almost.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I don't like when players are projected that high because then if they get 23, it's like, oh, he could have gotten more. But 23 for any other player is insane.
Yeah.
But projections skew it, and people go by projections. Definitely. Like I said, us included.
Definitely.
Do either of you have any other sell highs this week? It's not much.
Everybody knows that I'm trying to get rid of Michael Pittman, but Michael Pittman is definitely on that list. I will say there's a but in there. Do not sell Michael Pittman if Anthony Richardson is
Yep, absolutely. Joe Flacco looked great. I don't understand how he keeps doing it.
I honestly did you see the infographic where Joe Flacco was 8 days older than
Anthony Richardson's mom? So I was thinking about this week. This week in the NFL in 2024, we saw Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, and Mason Rudolph all play games.
Yeah,
and Sam Darnold.
And he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yo, Sam Darnold for MVP this year, bro.
He's 11 touchdowns.
I know.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Honestly, it makes the season more fun this
way.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
But I think that's all we have this week. Another good week.
Thank you, Colin, for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Next week we'll be back with another guest. What?
Took a little while, but we got here.
Yeah, there was a whole week. It's 9:36. Fire alarms, dinners.
Colin, it's
school. Yeah, it's past
computer updates.
You have school. Computer updates. You have school tomorrow, Colin. You have to.
I do have school, but then I don't Thursday, Friday. So.
Christian, you have school tomorrow, bro.
No, I don't. I'm off on Wednesdays.
I don't have school tomorrow. I'm on break.
Yeah, next week, I believe I'm going to be home when we record next week. Nick's home now.
We will
Columbus Day.
We will have another guest next week. So just for everybody listening, watching, whatever, we're going to try to have a guest every week because I think it adds a little bit more dynamic.
2 weeks, Colin's right. I won't be home next week.
Okay.
Colin's right. But yeah, no, Nick's absolutely right. We're going to have some guests. We're going to try and bring one in every week. Next week, I think we're going to bring Nick's roommate in. And then we'll go from there. But for now, I want to thank everybody for listening. We'll see you next week for our Week 5 recap.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.